Welcome everybody to another edition of Down and Dirty with the Badger State Tractor Pullers. Today we're in Burlington, Wisconsin with the Kasters, Mike and Matt Kaster, visiting them here at their shop with no teacher's pet behind us. So we're doing a little traveling today on a cold winter day in Wisconsin. So welcome and thank you guys for having us down at your shop.
It's nice to have you. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
So where did the teacher's pet start?
That started actually, I built Brian Look's tractor for him. And the next year I decided I had to have one.
Have your own?
Yep. So back in the winter, I guess be 87, we put this together as in its original form, as basically a good farm stock, you know.
Yep.
That's where we started, and it's just kind of advanced from there.
They never do stay in the original class, do they? They just kind of
Yeah.
keep changing.
But that's where I really got the bug big, because I had my 560 LP before that, but we decided we had to get a little bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when did you get into Super Farm?
Well, when Badger State,
I believe 88 was the first year they actually
yeah, I
called it
think it
Super
was
Farm.
88.
Yep.
Yeah. But back then it was 10.
And 12.
No, the first year it was 10, and then it was 10 and 12.
There you go.
Yeah. And then they decided to go back, and that's when they actually called it Super Farm, and they made it 95 first, and then it went to 93.
Yep.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, right back when they first started.
That was a while ago. Sure helps. not throwing weights every time between classes and
Yeah.
carrying up.
After they got rid of that 12 and have to throw weights, that was no loss. Didn't have to do that. Of course, it didn't bother so bad back then, but in the later years, it was nice not to have to throw weights anymore.
Throw that much around in
Yeah.
between and go relay. And now it's one class and you pull it and you load it up and enjoy the rest of the show and carry
Yeah, it
on.
is.
And Mike also is one of the Hall of Famers with the Badger State Tractor Pullers. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I was at 15.
15? Where's the time go?
Yeah, that was in 15.
9 banquets ago. Time does fly. I guess there's an old guy that told me long ago that the older you get, the faster time goes, and I believe it.
Yes, it is.
So here you are.
Just wait, it gets worse yet.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's just what I needed to hear. So you've had the itch since you're young, being around Dad and around pulling. So.
Yeah, I can remember probably as early as about 1981, maybe 82. But we used to go all the time together. And of course, we had the 560 back then, and we ran an open RPM, like a 5,000 pound class. Used to travel with some other guys, and even some other Badger State Hall of Famers like Steve Baker, Joe Oglesby. Them guys were always around, and we used to run around pretty hard together back then. And I guess I got really involved probably about 1990 or so. Started going to the meetings and stuff with Mike, and started driving in 94. So makes me sound old when I say that, but I guess that's kind of how it is.
We like to refer to this back in 1994 or 1987. When someone gives you directions, if you go take 138 over to 14, they'll take you right over to 88, and then,
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when we used to go to meetings in Broadhead and have banquets in Beloit and places that don't even exist anymore.
Janesville.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Janesville was banquet. We were talking about that, a few of us were at the last one of where the banquets were and how far back that any of us sitting there remembered where they were.
Don't remember them being in Arthur.
Oh, yeah? Some of them you just don't remember.
Well, that can happen currently, depending how the night goes.
Yeah, that could happen currently as well, yeah. That's right. So you've been pulling big tractors, but you also made a turn and started pulling garden tractors.
Yeah, that started in about 2000. Long story short, my local church always put on a garden tractor pull and a pork chop feed. And I lived at that time probably a mile and a half from the church. So the night before their festival, we'd have a big party. And a card game broke out one night, and I ended up winning my first garden tractor puller in a card game, and didn't really want anything to do with pulling it, so I used to put all my friends on it. Well, 1 turned into 2, and 2 turned into 4, and then I started driving, and I think when we quit in about 2013, we were running probably 6 or 7 national level garden tractors, and had pretty good success. Never did win a national championship. I always used to go for the win as opposed to points pull, and nothing's really changed, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and we used to build a lot of engines, transmission stuff for other pullers, kind of turn that into a side business. And it got to the point, locally at least, that nobody really wanted you around. They didn't want to run against you, and it just wasn't much fun anymore. So we sold everything, and I went back and we pulled Super Farm, done a few more years on this, and when Badger State had said that they were going to start the light pro class, it was time for us to make a change, or I was going to probably be done with that too. So we took it all apart and built a 540 and took it to Ettrick, Wisconsin, the very first Badger State light pro class, and I had never been on it, and I bent the throttle forward and just hoped it didn't blow up.
A lot more RPM easier out of this than Super Farm.
It is, and that first year was a major struggle in a light pro. In the Super Farm class, and I think even today, granted I haven't been on one in a while, you kind of get it to the RPM range you want, and you use the clutch as your launching point.
Yep.
What I learned on this is we don't do that anymore. We get it to an RPM level, get your foot off the clutch and on the floor, and then we drive it completely on the stick. And that was a major struggle in 16. We were having bouncing issues. I was having just all kinds of issues. And what I found is if you drive it on the stick, it makes it smoother, I guess. Not that that always goes quite the way you planned, as Utica in 17 would probably prove.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was no good. And it was 100% my fault, but
that was not good. I could still close my eyes and see that run.
yeah.
And see air underneath that tire.
Yeah. There's a frame lane outside that would be a really good remnants picture of that. It was all bad, but everybody walked away. I mean, it was fine. But the move to Light Pro has been outstanding. I do miss the Super Farm guys, some of the older guys that are still pulling Super Farm, Punky Score, even back in the day, like when Mark Wittenbach and all them guys were running, that was a really fun group to be with. But the group we have now with Polsons and Cartwrights, Burkholtz, Steph and Corey Famerville have been a great addition to the class. Yeah. JJ is going to just keep getting better and better, and I think it's just going to keep getting better as a class, and as people kind of join in and accept what we're doing.
Yeah, it takes time too when you start a new class. No. And you've done this over the years too, and you jump to a new class. That's you got the basics. You know what you need to do, but then it's a new learning curve.
It is.
Driving big setup, and you can take bits and pieces from along the way, but you kind of start over too.
Yep. You can look at a piece of dirt and get yourself fairly close, but the application is completely different. And you can make a small change even within the class in 540 if you make an air or a fuel or a tire adjustment, and it's basically like a brand new ride. And I think that's probably true in most every class.
It's probably true. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you have horsepower and they're that much lighter, they're that much harder to hold on to.
It can get a little cumbersome at times, and some of us aren't smart enough to detune them at certain points or get out of them when you should. But it's been good, and I'll admit the way it sits right here, it's not in running condition in its current form, and we haven't 100% decided which direction we're going to go forward yet. But if it's going to go back together as a light pro, there's a decent chance we'll adopt the PPL deal and go component and try to do it safely, as opposed to running 40-year-old cast iron stuff.
Yeah, update. And
Yep.
So long as you're making changes.
Well, it's a decent chance it's going to need a block and a head anyway, and if you're going to do it, you might as well buy the good stuff, and they're heavier, and we're already kind of on the cusp of weight. So I think it just makes good sense. If you're going to update, let's do it safely. And
when you're pushing the envelope, and especially in this class too, of the cubic inch, the weight, and the horsepower, is longevity.
Yeah.
If something happens to rear end, or you get a little bit of a wild ride, you want to make sure that stays healthy.
True. I think the adaptation of air ride front ends and that, even on the cast tractors, has made a huge difference. You see them really in all classes now, and I don't think that's by accident. It's made it safer. It's made it more forgiving.
Yeah.
We're currently running a Dave Fund front clip, frame rails, front end airbag system. I believe Mark Cartwright has the sister to this on his, and I'll be honest with you, it's bailed us out a few times.
Well, when you drop, it doesn't totally unload the tires. It takes
it cushions that impact on the bottom.
Absolutely.
When it comes down, it cushions that impact, and it doesn't rebound as bad.
Right.
Because it don't flex the tires down near as far, so you don't get the recoil the other way.
And the other air ride front ends, I've heard different guys talking about too, kind of helping at starting line help you hook up, because you got so much pressure in there, which stays in there. It doesn't get adjusted because it would change your hitch, of course, but that when you go to take off and the tires squat, that it kind of helps transfer the weight a little bit as well too. So.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's here. It's a technology that's here, and I think in another 5 years, every tractor probably that runs with the Badger State, whether it be a 466 hot farm up to the best pro stock in the world, you're going to see air ride, and you're going to probably see a whole multitude of technology advancements in the next 5 years that we haven't seen already.
Right, and some have air ride, some have the coilover shocks. So there's a couple different variations, and how they're set up too.
Absolutely.
Geometry of how it's set up and where it's mounted.
Right, we run ours perfectly in line with the frame, so idea being perpetual motion going forward as it comes down. Obviously your left and right side maybe not as good, but a lot of your coilover guys you see mounted on the outside, and it takes that tipping left and right, a whole bunch of that out.
Right. Mm-hmm. And there's more to it than that. Once you dig into how it works.
I have to ask people about that. I'm not that smart.
So that's cool, and people don't realize too in truck and tractor pulling the amount of technology that's in all of them. You look at an old 66 International, but deep down in
there's not a whole lot left of a 66 other than that panel you might have touched right there.
Yep. So what's left of the teacher's pet from when you originally went super farm?
Sheet metal.
The hoods.
That's the only thing. That hood is
Sheet metal?
Yep.
That's it. There's nothing underneath that was from the first one.
From the first one?
No.
Isn't that something how over the years, how things have changed?
Yeah.
Yep. I know when you guys, I shouldn't say no, I heard like when you guys switched from super farm, you guys were talking about changing the name of it.
Yeah, the teacher's pet thing, my mom was a teacher and it just kind of morphed into that. It's going to be called something different. We just haven't settled on anything, and usually it's 5 minutes before the first hook when we get it back together. So changing the decals haven't exactly been a priority.
Because you don't have anything else to do like work or anything like that.
No. We pretty much just work about tractor all the time.
Right, yeah, 24/7.
Right.
With that, what do you guys do? What do you guys do for a living?
Well, now today, our LS tractors have dominated our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we run Mike's Repair Service, which is the building we're in now. We started out working on farm equipment, mainly tractors. We'd sold some hay tools, some stuff back in the day. But in 2004, we got into the compact tractor market. And as Mike said, it's completely changed our whole life. We'll, what used to take us 2 weeks to wrench on and then get back to the farmer, now we bring a new tractor in, we set it up, and we deliver it in 2 days. And our average year, we'll sell 150 new compact tractors along with 20 to 30 used ones, and then a whole multitude of attachments to go along with it. It's different. I miss the farm days, I'm going to be 100% honest, but you can't, on a small scale, make the money on a repair shop that you can sell a new equipment to end home consumer.
And, part of the repair is, hey, it's going to cost about this much money, this is what we think it is, and then you dig into it, and then that ends up being, well, it's more than that, and not only that, now it's going to take longer than that, and you got the other guy sitting at the door waiting too to...
Yeah, I say all the time to customers, friends, and family that somebody that walks in our door that is here to purchase a new tractor wants to be here.
Yeah.
To your point, somebody that has a piece of equipment here that's broke down, that they need to perform their work, is already unhappy in the current situation they're in. So it's changed how we deal with customers. It's changed basically our day-to-day approach. Long story short, though, the American consumer is a bit different than the American farmer. American farmer is still, really understanding, pretty easy to get along with. We live in such an on-demand society that you have to kind of change the way you do things when you're selling to the end user like that.
You do. And for instance, to go get a haircut nowadays, you got to make an appointment. Years ago,
I actually don't.
Walked in the barber shop.
I actually don't have that problem, but thanks for bringing it up, John.
I like how you parted it today.
Well, I did that because I knew you were coming. So.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's how it is. You got to have it. If you don't have it, then I'm going somewhere else.
That's exactly. The American public today, for the most part, will not wait. We usually have anywhere from 60 to 70 new tractors on the lot at any one time. We stock probably 300 to 400 attachments. And it's
attachments out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got buckets. You got grapples. You got. What don't you have?
if we don't have it, you don't need it, John. Yeah, yeah, and even our pallet fork business, we'll sell 400 to 500 sets of pallet forks retail in a year. It's changed our whole life. I mean, it's afforded us the opportunity to do things that I didn't think we were going to be able to do 20, 25 years ago.
And then too, saying, hey, do you think this is going to take off? You'd be like, nah, this is just a little extra piece to our puzzle. And, it's just, if we sell some, great, help us out.
That's exactly how we started.
Now it just went
Yep.
180.
Yep.
Exactly right.
Yeah. But, we had to change because here the small farmer is virtually gone.
Yeah.
There isn't, you go east from here, it's just getting so built up. We're not very far from Lake Michigan, and I-94. And that whole area, you drive over there today, you don't even recognize what it used to look like. We got farmers in that all there is big buildings on them now.
Yeah, urban sprawl is taking over
Yeah.
a lot of areas.
Yeah. And the small guy is gone, or what's left of them, most of it's custom done.
Oh.
They ain't doing it themselves anymore. So there isn't, and the dairy is, other than a few big ones, is non-existent anymore. So we don't have that trade. It used to be, a dairy farmer had that equipment used year round. That's not the case in cash cropping.
Right. My dad used to drive a milk truck, and I used to ride with him, and you'd roll out of one dairy farm, go down the road, roll into the next one, And just the area not far from where I grew up, right now, there is only one dairy farm. And it's a big dairy farm.
At one time, we took care of 7 milk trucks. There is not any of them left today.
Yeah.
I mean, and they have all went out of business because, back then that was all single axle mostly.
Yeah.
And we at one time was taking care of 7 of them, and none of them exist today.
Ain't that something? Yeah, and then how business changed, and even since you started too, just like you said, would you thought it would have went this way, or it changes hard when you've been in business for a long time. For someone to say, hey, we need to regroup and relook at this, and someone that's done it, hey, I've done this a long time. Really? You want to change now? But you have to with the times in order to keep going.
Well, yeah. So
It was a bit of a struggle for a while.
Yeah. Good thing I'm sitting here.
Yeah. There's a reason we're sitting apart. No, I'm kidding.
It's like that too with, I was scheduling with the mini rods and that too. You go to fairs and festivals. This fair has been going on for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, whatever it is. This is what we're doing. This is what works. We're not going to shy away from that. Like, oh, okay.
Both Mike and I were on the Racine County Fair Board for years, and the old regime politics is a tough barrier to break through.
Yeah.
And I think that's true, no matter what civic organization you're in.
It is, yeah. And you got to get some new blood in there too to kind of revitalize it and build it back up again. And,
Amen.
It's just change. It's hard for anybody. So the future holds maybe something different than for you guys pulling wise.
Well, it's going to have to do something different because I'm pretty sure when we get this apart, we're going to find it's pretty well destroyed inside. And like I said, I'd like to stay where we are. The Light Pro class is up and coming. I love the people. I love the horsepower. I love the challenge. But if we're going to do it, I'm going to do it the right way. We're going to put it in safely. We're going to put a component in. We're going to put an aftermarket block in. I'm just not sure at this point in my life that I want to bite all that off. But and then the next thing is going to be where if you're going to spend that kind of money, maybe we ought to just go pro stock pulling. But I'm not sure that sounds like a great idea either.
There's guys there, that's
the deep end of the pool to jump into.
Pool, yeah. The diving board's shorter.
Yeah, right. And I got to wear a leather helmet or something to do it. So, yeah.
Well, pulling in the past, we were talking about, we showed up here, you got some old side shields here. The old Alice Chalmers.
That was
the Buck and Pumpkin.
Yeah. So I bought a Alice 185 from a guy named Jeff Kaiser. Lived down right outside of Cambridge, Illinois. It was a West Central tractor, as we called it back then. Used to run against Hawthorne and Gordy Casper and a bunch of them guys. And I decided I was going to venture out on my own, so I bought that and brought it home. It was a 301 twin turboed, set up for the light limited super class. I ran that in 99 and 2000 with absolutely zero success. We had a lot of fun, traveling with Larry and Mark, and we used to run around with Gordy Casper. Back then, when I first started, it was a combo class. So we would run the turbo tractors against the NA tractors. And of course, the NA tractors got hitch and height and weight and whatever else. It was a great time, but it was absolutely like throwing money out the window. Not like any of it's real profitable, but that one was really bad.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling that to a younger kid down in Kentucky who then ran it as a single charger light super farm. And I'll be honest with you, I lost track of it. That was 24 years ago. So I have no idea where it is now, but I did keep the original side panels.
Yeah, I kept them.
Yeah, you bet.
And one of the other chassis you guys had bought was the Pro Stock, the Madness.
Yeah, of course, Badger State Hall of Famer Craig Gladwig and his partner John Roberts ran that for years. Mike actually put that tractor together. That was the one he referenced earlier for Brian Look.
Oh, so
and
now
he
we
would
got
have
the full circle of that.
Yeah. He would have put that together the winter of 85, 86. And then we campaigned it in 86 some for Brian, along with the 560. That was a real adventure dragging two of those around.
Yep.
With an old 6.9 IDI Ford pickup. That was,
You get there. Just
right. You leave like 4 hours before you need to.
There.
Right.
We'll get you there.
But that was great. I mean, we had great success with that. And then, of course, we put this together. And then come full circle, Craig and JR were running it as a pro stock, still on cast, up through probably the 2008 or 9 season, I'm going to guess. And that's when Craig put his first Never Given Up component together. And we helped him with that on the engine side. And in lieu of some of the work, we ended up with the Madness and took the rear end and the transmission out and put it in our super farm at that time for durability.
Made it stronger, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were really good parts in it. We actually still own the tractor. It's in one of the back buildings here at the shop. I don't know that it'll ever see the light of day, but we actually commented today we might hang the old sheet metal on it just for something fun to do.
Yeah. So now you know where the old Madness is sitting.
Stacy Butson bothers me all the time about getting it back out.
Oh, yeah, he knows about
that. Yeah, and
so.
if you know anything about tractor pulling, 2008 or 9 technology doesn't sound like a real good idea in the Light Pro.
Yeah. Challenging.
It would, difficult, yes.
Challenging. Yeah. Family-wise.
We have Mike and myself. I'm an only kid.
Thank goodness. Huh?
Yeah, well.
After you, they're like,
I'd like to think that perfection the first time, but my guess is you wouldn't get a lot of agreement on that.
I stand corrected.
Credit for it. I have my girlfriend Tara and I have been together for a lot of years. We have 2 kids at home. Lane, who's named after Esden Lane, is 8, and our daughter Peyton is 5.
Oh.
So I had kids pretty late in life, and now I understand why people do it early. By the end of the day, you get awful tired to go home. And
yeah.
But they're great kids. They enjoy the tractor pulling parts. So
I'm sure garden tractor will be coming one of these days.
It's funny you asked me that. I try to push him towards that every once in a while. I don't know when we're going to do it and time-wise, but some days he's really for it, and the next day he's very much into baseball. He plays traveling league baseball at 8. He's very good at it. I think I'm going to let that play its course before we push him into the tractor pulling side.
Yeah.
Plus, and in the long run, it might be cheaper, although traveling league baseball is not cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, his mom, runs him around to practice and tournaments and stuff, and he's very good at it. He's a good kid.
That's like our house too. When I first put it together, and I never pushed anything. He wanted to do it, so we did it. And my wife asked me, hey, what are you going to do if he doesn't want to do this? You're all in tractor pulling and whatever, but let's be real here. What are you going to do? I'm like, well, see that shelf in the shop right there?
Just put it up on there and look at it.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to do it no more, we'll drain the fuel and the oils out of it, and we'll park it up there, and then when I sit in the shop, I can look at it.
If I'm not mistaken, Brent Leonard, who still runs the 401 class, he was actively involved in the garden tractor world, and then when they bought the old Roxbury Rebel and started Super Farm pulling, they took all their stuff and put it on a shelf. Well, when his kids were old enough, I think they got everything back out, and I think Brent enjoyed it more than the kids did, to be real honest with you.
Yeah, he still got them. Yeah,
I would imagine.
Still there, yeah. I probably enjoy watching him drive the garden tractor more than anything else I do with pulling.
Sure.
It's just spending time with him, but then, see him and enjoy it. And we have fun. We're not serious by no means. We go, hit and miss wherever we can go. And
Sure.
it's just fun.
The friendships and the lifelong lessons he's going to learn out of that. No different than doing this, no different than working hard. Those are memories that you can never replace.
Right, yeah. And depending on what organization we go to, and hey, we're going to go garden tractor pulling Saturday. Oh, am I going to go see Paul or am I going to see Buster?
That sounds about right.
Well, we're going to go see Buster today. Oh, okay, good. Then he knows who he's going to go chat with,
Sure.
Well,
Yeah,
That's
you're
cool.
right. You make friends along the way. And I always say, I got into it young age with my dad, and I'd have never met you guys if it wasn't for my dad and tractor pulling. And you meet a lot of awesome people along
do.
the way. It's so much fun.
You bet. It's, the tractor pulling, the competition part's awesome, but really the most fun is before and after the pull.
Oh, yeah.
Then 3 weeks later, nobody remembers who won or who lost or who had a bad run. But, they remember standing around having a beer at so-and-so's trailer or having a meal here and,
Yeah.
helping this guy out.
Yep.
and having the kids around.
And having the kids around, yeah. It's
Very big.
Revolves right back to the same thing of family, like it always ends up into that corner.
You
And
bet.
even like at the banquet when, we have American Family Children's Hospital there, and they talk about family, and we have one of their families there, or it's family oriented.
It is.
And that's what's great. And pulling world in general isn't just Badger State.
No.
It's all pulling
Yeah.
organizations.
Heck,
It's-
some of my best friends live 12 states away.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get to meet people from, a long ways away. You go to Louisville, down the farm show, and you walk through the pits, you can be there all day.
Yep.
Chatting
Yep.
with people you haven't seen for a long time.
We've had season tickets at Louisville for years and years and years, and actually the people that sit in front of us are from, and I talk to them more than I talk to a bunch of my best friends.
Yeah, you never, if you got season tickets, you know exactly who you're
You bet.
chatting with there, yeah. That's cool, that's fun. That makes it interesting when you go there too. Kind of like old times, meeting up with your cousins,
You bet.
Awesome. So what else do you guys do for hobbies other than this and work?
More work. I own a company called Front Street Farm Toys. We're in the farm toy world. Started 13-ish years ago and kind of as a sideline, and now it's become bigger than I needed it to be. But we do resale, retail, wholesale. We're getting into doing our own production runs through Ertl and through Scale Models.
Really?
So our first drop will be here in February. So we're hoping long term to make that into something. I did have some trucks on the road full time. I sold that at the end of 2022. Good riddance.
Yeah.
It was fun
Trucking's
for
hard.
it was fun for like 5 minutes, and then it got just to be work.
Yeah.
But other than that, watching my boy play baseball, we don't do much else. We work here 6 days a week. There's only 4 of us here, and to push as much stuff out as we do, it's a full-time job and then some.
Yeah. So with the toys you're making, what are you making for toys?
Long story short, so through Ertl, we're going to start production runs. I am bringing a high-detailed 1/64 scale tractor back first that will morph into 1/16 scale as time goes on. I'm also working with a company that we will make 1/8 scale, which are a ginormous style
They're huge,
toy,
yeah.
right? And only one company has had a licensing up until now. So it's taken me some logistical time to get that done. My hope would be in a couple of years, we would make anywhere from 4 to 6 runs in a year. And then we will wholesale 80% of those out, and I'll retail the other 20 as time goes on. It's a lot of work, but it's not physical work, if that makes sense. It's
Right.
more paperwork and talking on the phone and shipping packages. And
Oh, you do pulling toys too?
we do. I do not build any. I have the craftsmanship of like a 3-legged horse. I'm not very good at it. Long story short, some of the best in the business, my buddy Justin Stuckenschneider from Missouri, who I think is the best in the business, hands down. We used to buy a whole bunch of stuff from him and resell it. Now I just buy a whole bunch of stuff from him and keep it, which is a really good business model I don't recommend.
Yeah, that costs too. Yeah.
Yep. A couple years ago, Toy Pulling Models out of Ripon was a Badger State sponsor. Jeff and Jeremy are great people, they're good craftsmanship. I sell a lot of their style stuff. And then Brian and Barry Mowry from St. Joe, Missouri, are into the production style toys through SpecCast, and we're a dealer for them. I always tell everybody I sell what I like, so clearly the pulling stuff, the gold, the chrome, that's kind of my focus.
Awesome.
Yep.
Where can people find stuff for Front Street Toys?
Well, it's funny you ask. I should really get a website going, but I don't really want to because it's going to be more work than I need. We do have a Facebook page in that. We have a huge online presence on eBay. At any one time, there's probably 2,000 to 3,000 toys listed available for sale.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, it's gotten a little out of hand. We ship factory direct, a lot of stuff. If you're a dealer, give me a call. You can find my number quite readily on the internet. I'll put you on a dealer wholesale program and treat you better than anybody else. So
Nice. Awesome. So Front Street Toys, one of our sponsors with the Down and Dirty every week, and we can't thank you enough.
No
And
problem.
One of the main reasons we've been trying to get down here.
I was putting it off. I just more of a face for radio than I do camera.
So we picked the winner. We got down here in the wintertime rather than summertime when it's really crazy.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The last 2 weeks with Christmas coming up has been pretty nuts around here in the toy
Is it?
business. Yeah.
Oh, it's my business. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
That's
Mike's repairs business. We're busy all the time at that, but the toy business really picks up in December.
So you guys, you have attachments now. Attachments fit anything that you guys sell at Mike's Repair?
Yeah, so all of our tractors and most everything, with the exception of John Deere and Yanmar today, comes with what we call a universal attaching frame. All your skid loaders, you're familiar with that at your work, and wheel loaders, stuff like that. We also carry some specialized stuff. The John Deere side, we do carry a fair amount of forks, buckets, grapples, stuff like that. And then we've gotten into the mini skid, like your Toro Dingo, your Bobcat, M series and that. It's just keeps getting bigger and bigger, but you have to really pay attention to what's hot on the market. And luckily I got some guys, that are really good at the internet. So
Yeah.
we usually have a pretty good idea what's coming before it gets here.
Awesome. So if anybody looking for attachments or anything like that, or maybe a compact tractor, maybe give a call.
We'll truck it right to your door, and you'll get to see my smiling face because I do all the deliveries. So
Oh, you do all of those?
I do. I'm of the opinion if you're going to spend that kind of money with me, I want to be the guy to come to your home, not an employee. So I do them all myself.
That's nice. Yeah, that's very personable.
Well, it's gotten me where I am, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but
No, and a lot of the relationships you have is a handshake, and
absolutely.
it doesn't even have to be ink and a pen. And
No,
that's where the world started.
Yeah, we do a lot of deals on a handshake and then take care of the paperwork when I get there.
Yep, that's perfect. Yeah, that's a business model I don't think a lot of people even remember or go on nowadays.
no.
I think Wall Street would tell you it's probably a little outdated.
Yeah, Wall Street would, yeah. But sometimes they need a little updating too.
Well, I don't think there's any such thing as perfect today.
No, there isn't. But well, I thank you guys so much for letting us come down and hang out with you. And
Anytime you're welcome.
Yep.
it's nice to see everybody. And you guys hurt this beautiful thing, and weren't able to come the rest of summer.
No.
So we didn't get to see as much.
No, that's all right though. But I appreciate you coming down. Glad to be a sponsor of the weekly
Down and
Facebook.
Dirty
Thank
show,
you,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let you take care of that. But it's been great, and we help sponsor the Greene County Fall Nationals with the 50-50 every year.
Yes. Yes.
Mike actually grew up in Greene County, so that's where that affiliation comes. And of course, we've run around with Mark and Larry since probably 1980.
Yeah.
Funny story. Larry split his Deutz on my 6th birthday in Richland Center, Wisconsin.
Really?
How's
At
that
the
for a
fair.
full
At
circle?
the fair.
moment? Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
And walked away from it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure Mark will appreciate me bringing that up, on.
Yeah, we'll talk to him about that. Ryan and I'll make sure we corner him on that.
Sure. I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah. That was some time ago. Yeah, and isn't that, and you do down there every year, you've done that for a long time down in Greene County, and
Yeah, I think
and you've brought tractors and stuff too, and given away to kids, and that's just, that brings the younger generations in as well.
It does. We're currently working for American Family Children's Hospital, putting some 164 toys together, much like Badger State with Hennessy's and McFarland's did a few years ago.
Awesome.
So we're going to try to do that again here sometime this winter.
Awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. And you see pictures, and Lori brings pictures and stuff showing the kids playing with all them. And then not only that, there's a couple families that I know went there and talked about that they seen, the toys, and they give them a toy, play with the toy, and then also the Badger State room there. And so the pulling community there is pretty cool.
The greatest example that I can ever put my finger on is when Craig Ledwig's boy Bryce had cancer,
Yeah.
and they had a benefit for him on a Sunday. Bryce was probably 7, I don't even know, and just the outpouring of support from the Badger State guys that was kind of a tough day, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, and
Yep.
yeah, the Badger State family, I can't thank enough. With my wife's journey in cancer and helping our family out too is just, it's amazing. It is family, and everybody jumps in and helps out. It's just crazy.
I figure if we can afford to do this, we can probably afford to help out a little bit too.
Gotta be cool. Yeah, it's cool to see the smiles on their faces for that.
You bet.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you guys
You bet.
again, and
You bet.
appreciate
You
everything.
bet. Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
John.
coming down.
You bet.
and
Thanks for
seeing you
having
guys
us.
and visiting. So
You bet.
we'll see you on the live stream. We'll have these guys on live here, and if you got any questions for them, be sure to ask, and we'll be happy to answer. So thanks again.
You bet. Thank
Yep.
you.
Take care.
Awesome. Welcome, Mr. Cat.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
We're doing well.
Good.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you much for letting us come down, and
You bet. Thanks for
thank
coming,
you
Donna.
very much for the Christmas present for Ross. You went overboard.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
that's
thank
all right.
Yeah, he loved that.
Good.
That was
Yeah.
great for business. And you sell a lot more stuff there than I knew about. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's I'll be honest with you, it's gotten bigger than I ever thought it would. We started with the compact tractors in 2004, and like John pointed out early, we were hoping to be a sideline deal to our repair business. It's now pretty much our whole world, to be real honest with you.
Yep. Yep. And all the attachments for the loader stuff and all that. That's pretty neat. Yep.
Carl Zimmerman, Matthew Kaster, and Mike, two of the best. Proud to call them my friends.
Carl Zimmerman is about the best person I've ever met, to be real honest with you. I first met Carl in 2005 or 2006, garden tractor pulling. And I'll be honest with you, I saw him a couple weeks ago up here at a toy show, and it's like we didn't spend any time apart. He's got a great family. His boy is into displays, and he made a pulling display this year, and it's top notch. I mean, it's Clay he's very talented. I think he got third a year ago at the national show, and he's just going to keep going up from there. And Carl and Monica, they've hosted us a few times, gave us a place to stay when we needed it, back when we were pulling and that, and with them, and they're great people. I'm glad he's on here with us.
Awesome. Thank you. Kevin Lindstrom, Class Act Pullers.
Kevin is, and Greg and John, you guys will agree, Kevin is not only competition wise, probably one of the better pullers that you guys will run into. In the people world, it doesn't get any better than him either. Great family. They campaign a couple tractors. His boys are great. His wife's great. My dad and Kevin have been friends for, I don't know, since Kevin started 20 some years ago. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Kevin, great guy.
Thank you, Kevin.
Great
Yep.
family.
How you doing, Heavy?
Yeah.
Heavy on board.
One thing that people, I don't know if a lot of people realize, is what the toy, the egg toy or farm toy industry has done. It's just crazy how many people are into it and collecting, right?
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing. When I started, I don't even know it started as kind of a sideline deal, kind of like everything, I guess. I thought, you'll go to a toy show and sell 5, 6, 7 toys. Now on a wholesale basis, weekly, we sell anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 toys, probably a week on wholesale. And retail wise, yeah, thank you, sir. And, the retail side is very small compared to the wholesale side, but there are guys that do this for a living. I'm not one of them, but I'm proud to be able to supply them with the stuff that they need to make a living and support their families. The hobby is just ginormous. We're going to go to a show here in Lafayette, Indiana in 2 months, and you're going to see 600 tables of toys in one building that probably in 3 days will sell anywhere from $3 to $4 million worth of stuff.
That's crazy.
It's pretty out of hand. It's almost like farming, Greg.
Great. Except for profitable. Farming's not profitable.
Oh yeah, I missed that part. Sorry about that.
Hey, well, you farm too. You forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, we did forget to talk about that. Basically, long story short, we were a victim of the 80s when interest got to 18 and 20%. It became very tough to do. I was 5, maybe 6. We moved off the farm. A couple years ago, my boy got to be 4 or 5, and he took an interest in it, and we decided we were going to get back in it on a very small scale. But we farmed some, and we're doing some custom work opening for some guys, and I imagine that's going to take off too, kind of like everything else.
Yep. Well, you talked about all the things that have changed. We custom farm too. We used to farm for maybe 15 farms. We did stuff. We're down to 5 or 6. Granted, them 5 or 6, we're probably harvesting for as many cows as we did back then, but feeding as many animals, but they're all big now.
Sure. We still run, as amazing as it is, we still run a 4-row combine.
Yeah.
So a lot of your bigger guys that have 12 row heads and that can't, of course, make corners and that. So we'll go in and we'll open up for them. We farm about 100 acres of our own. And then we open another, under this year, probably another 600-ish acres of field we'll open for them. So we'll combine another 120, let's say, which doesn't sound like a lot, but with a 4-row head, it takes a little bit.
That's a full fall in a 4-row head.
At 1.5 mile an hour on a 6620, it takes a minute or two.
Yep. That's all fun. But
Kevin Gravel Knoll Farms.
Kevin Earhart is actually, him and his dad Jeff are my spray guys, and Kevin's dad Jeff and I have been literally, I think he used to babysit me when I was 2 or 3. So that was a couple of years ago. But Kevin, he's got a hot farm style tractor. It's a limited RPM deal that he runs with South Central, and it runs very well. He's like one of the only deers in the class. And you talk about a great family. The Earharts are, they're salt of the earth people. They give you the shirt off their back. It wouldn't fit me, but it'd fit most of you.
They helped out. Kevin helped out a couple polls I announced. He gave me some specifics for the class that helped me shine a little bit. So great people. And,
I tell you what, if you want to know anything about tractor pulling, just ask him. He'll tell you.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So thanks for watching, Kevin.
Yep.
Moose's tractor pulling videos. Great family. Had a great talk a few years ago at the toy show in Dyersville. Been a while since we last pulled against them. Binder Express Pulling.
Yep. That's Dan and
Gary Schultz.
Schultz. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. I think the last time I saw them was at that pull in Norwalk, probably back in 2020 in the COVID year. And he bought a new hauler and brought steps and went to put them on and couldn't get them on. So we gave him some hardware so he could actually get in and out of his trailer.
Yeah.
So who is the Mooses? Is that Dan?
I think that's one of the boys, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it?
That's Morgan Schulte.
Oh, it's Morgan. Okay. Yeah, he's on quite a bit. So thanks for watching, Morgan.
Yep. So you're talking about getting a component for the teacher's pet and all that, Matt. Are you going to get teacher's pet out this year? Or
I'll be honest with you, we probably aren't going to be ready to go in June. I really want to stay light pro. The only change I would ever make at this point would be either keep it cast ass and go back to like an 85 limited pro, which I'm not going to do, but somebody might. If we put a component together, it's either going to be a light pro, or if at some point we adopt a 5.0 pro stock class, that's probably where I would end up.
Yeah,
I love the light pro class, and I love the guys. Alan and Kyle, of course, Andy and Mark, they live 15 miles up the road.
Yeah.
Steph and Corey have been great. I love every Burkholtz, Doug and Colin. I like Doug better than I like Colin, but don't tell him that. I'm just kidding, Colin. Sorry. It's I knew that was going to happen.
That I have a son that's going to buy toys he can get. Yeah.
I think Ryan held that comment until I just said that, to be real honest with you.
It's been sitting there for a little bit.
Of course it has.
I knew it was coming, though.
The other good one that was there was Don Vogt. Thank you for watching, Don Vogt. I've known Don since I was a kid, too. Got some garden tractor parts from him, and he's a great competitor, a very smart guy. Him and his brother built a lot of awesome pulling tractors over the years. So thanks for watching, Don. And no Blatz advertising.
Don, I haven't drank Blatz in probably 15 years, and for good reason.
So Don's got a connection with Glenn Valenstein too. They used to work together.
Yeah, matter of fact, I saw a year ago at Beaver Dam, Don and his, I think, girlfriend, I don't know who she is. They came up, and I didn't know that, that him and Glenn had any affiliation. And of course, I know Glenn real well from Craig and them guys. Yeah, I pulled against Don for, I don't know, for years, when we were pulling garden tractors. And his brother Jim helped me a lot on some engine program stuff. And we lost him a couple years ago, and it's too bad. But good family.
Yeah. Don's old rear end of his Pro Stocks in Ross's pulling tractor.
John, you would be the only one confident enough to talk about Don's rear end on a live deal.
I would. He's a friend. Like you, I'd talk about yours too.
Well, thank you.
Greg, it's up to you.
You already got yourself in trouble, John?
Yeah, it didn't take long at all.
No.
Mike Lewis, never forget Matt making kids' dream come true with Make-A-Wish at the ETBT. Great to work with.
Mike Loyce lives over here by Elkhorn, back where they had the old Grand National Pull, if you guys remember, right? And he was in charge of the East Troy beer tent, is what the ETBT stands for. They had a large tractor pull for years, probably 10 or 12, and then they invited us to pull with the garden tractors side by side. And one year, and forgive me, I'm going to guess it was 2011 or 12, we put together a tractor for a kid that was in the Make-A-Wish program, and we put it together. He pulled it on Friday night as an exhibition, and then Saturday he pulled it in a full competition class of 27, I believe, and I think he ended up 5th. So, and forgive me, I've lost track of that kid, but he has to be a man 23 or 4 years old by now.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure he remembers. Mr. Ladwig, Mike and Matt are two of my best friends. One of the main reasons I still pull.
We're old enough that Craig and I actually went to college together. Now, granted, he was 3 years older than me, but yeah, that's old. Thanks, John. He did more of the college thing. I just went and drank, but it was still fun.
Wasn't Craig 3 years older and 2 classes behind you?
Actually, I think it was 5 classes, but you're pretty close, Craig.
Pretty close, I guess. I just graduated different.
I tell you what, if we could all do half as good as Craig has, in his adult life, I think we'd probably be doing all right.
You're right. He does well.
He does.
Yep.
Hey, Matt Kaster Memorial Beer Tent.
Yeah.
1
So Clay Zimmerman built that pulling display that I was talking about earlier, and he had a Matt Kaster Memorial Beer Tent. I can't decide if it's memorial for the beer or memorial because there's a chance I might die before the end of this.
Right?
Beer. Yeah. Katrina Nauman, pull a pin, Matt. The 540 LLP misses you.
I believe that's she comes with the Cartwright crew.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a great time. She's fun. She's fun. I love the light pro class. It's been I miss the old Super Farm days. I was telling Mark Hawthorne the other day, I can't believe guys like Mark Wittenbach and Mark Hawthorne and I are now considered the old people of this deal. I show up at a Badger State pull and there's truck pullers. I look at, you were old a long time ago, John. It's all right. I'll take it easy. The truck pullers today, I swear to God, they're not 25. And I think to myself, I'm almost 25. And then I realize I'm not. And it's just amazing. Mark Wittenbach, he was 20 when he started pulling Super Farm against us, Greg, I would say.
Yeah.
And now, we show up at a pull and he's like a chiseled veteran.
Right.
So
right.
I'm old enough. I remember getting beat by Greg Elsing on 20-point tires.
Yeah. That was the start.
Was that in Jefferson? That was in Jefferson, right?
Yep. Jefferson, Darlington, and Lodi. We had to pull them. The first 3 I did.
Yep. What year would that have been, Greg? 1993 or 4?
2.
2?
1992. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
If you're old and sick,
on the board. So been here a long time.
If I remember that, that must make you one of the old guys too.
No, not me. I'm not the old
Okay.
guy.
Back in 1992.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever happened to the tiny wheels you guys used to use in Super Farm? Where did those come from off of?
I don't know where they came from, but as embarrassing as this is, I can tell you that they are currently on one of my head carts. They were,
Use them.
yeah, they were 13-inch tires that we used to run on the front of the Super Farm to get the rake right.
Yep.
Blue Power Special Pulling Team. You were old, Matt.
I tell you what, Andy, you're not too far behind me, I don't think. Andy pulls a Super Farm now, and they got a couple of them. And actually, John, where you were, their shop's 2 doors to the west of where you were.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're on the same street. There's 8 buildings on that street, and I believe there's 5 or 6 pulling tractors.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
Stop making us old, Caster Blaster. Craig Vittipal.
That's Kreger. He runs around with Brent Leonard and them guys. And when them guys started Super Farm pulling, we used to run around pretty hard together. And it was all on the up and up, and we never got in any trouble as far as anybody knows.
Right.
You never get in trouble unless you get caught.
Yeah. You know, the reason we used to get caught most of the time was because of Punky, though, to be real honest with you.
Yeah, he was always getting away.
He's shining.
Fair enough.
Yep. Yeah.
Point. You're it.
Rattler's on watching too. That's good. His Craig's nickname's Rattler, so everybody I didn't really know his real name for like 5 years when I knew him, but finally figured it out.
We always knew him as Kreger, so I just assumed, but
yeah.
And they used to travel with a guy named Omar and another guy named Potter.
Omar Potter.
Yeah. There was an incident in Mackville one year where Potter was laying on the floor of the brat stand screaming, "Stop talking about my mom," but that was a different deal.
Who was doing the talking?
Well, he was talking, but it was to the security guard, and I'm pretty sure the security guard wasn't talking about his mom. But, it was pretty late in the evening, so.
That's funny. That's funny stuff. Yeah.
Oof.
But getting back to the pulling a little bit, sounds like in the light pro class, there's going to be 3 or 4 new ones this year.
I've heard that. I don't really know that. I hope so. It's a great class. I mean, it's fun to watch. There's always a chance somebody could tip over or blow up or, whatever the case is. But I think it's really a lot of fun being there. It is a lot of work, though. And every class is. I mean, don't get me wrong. But there's the RPM to the weight, to the horsepower, to the drivability. It's pretty temperamental, which I think is most of the fun.
Yep. I think that'd be one of the toughest classes to drive in. I think I really do. The horsepower to weight ratio is it's a big thing, and there's, I think, don't get me, did NTPA allow component tractors in the light pro? I don't know.
I don't believe so.
I don't believe they did either. So I don't know what's going to, we did, but I think that a couple of years ago, everybody's talking about a limited pro going component. And I said, well, the class that needs to go component is the light pros. They're making as much horsepower and they're 1,000 pounds lighter.
Yeah, I agree with that. And as tire technology gets better and better and better all the time, I can see that becoming more of a thing. More traction, more, putting it to the ground is going to mandate safer practice.
It is. And you don't want people shaving stuff out of the chassis where they shouldn't be.
No. And we're already pretty thin on weight as it is.
Right. But I haven't seen a lot of breakage from stuff in Badger State, right? Because of
no. Most of the problems you see, I think, in a light pro for the general rule is valve train issues. When they get to that, when the first number starts with a 6, usually no matter what you have in, doesn't really like it.
Right. And that's not going to change if it's a component or a cast ass tractor.
No. And some guys that drive a light pro, myself included, would have to be smart enough to maybe just not lean on the stick quite that hard.
Right. Nobody's going to back off. And you see the 300-foot, you're not backing out of it.
No. And actually we do more damage on the big end than we do on the starting line.
Right.
As the push down comes and the RPMs start to come back and the turbos are already hot is where you see a lot of your damage come from.
Yep.
I think it's the acceleration side when they're up so high.
Yeah, when they start to break free and the tires start to spin and the turbos are already hot, that's usually when you see, shafts break. You see bearings come apart. Wheels start to fly apart. It's an active attrition. Let's face it.
You're right. So then it's hard to find. You want to throw enough water in front of the turbo to keep it together, but you throw too much in, it slows it down too much.
Correct. I'll be honest with you. The way ours is currently set up, the last nozzle I had in front of the Charger was a 68 thousandths, which in tractor pulling world is like a garden hose.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
You run how many nozzles? You just one, or do you run a couple?
I run one in front of the Charger. I run 3 in the crossover pipe, and I run 1 in each cylinder.
Right. Okay. Yep.
A lot of water.
Yeah. When it got to the point we were running, give or take, anywhere from a gallon to a gallon and a half a pass more water than we were fuel.
Yep. Yeah, I know in my tractor I run more water than I run fuel. So yeah.
I totally believe that.
Yep. Do you? Who does all your fuel and air? Man.
I'm glad you asked it. I was actually going to bring that up earlier. I'd like to thank Hypermax Engineering, and I might be the last one to ever do this. Jeff and Jerry have been with us for 35 years. I am probably the last guy running a Hypermax fuel and air. They do my sleeve, my pistons. I have a Hyper head on. They've been great. Max, Jerry's boy, and I were friends, and of course we lost him to cancer here some years ago. And but we've been with him forever. They're an hour and a half south of my shop. Is there other stuff that runs as good, if not better? Probably. But I can call it Thursday morning at 10 o'clock and be at their shop at noon, and they'll have 3 techs out in my trailer to work on my stuff. And you can't put a price on that. You just can't.
That means a lot of ways.
It does.
It is great to see other, I want to say suppliers or whatever, engine builders. I want to see 10 in every class, just so you all get bragging rights of who's doing what, right?
Amen. And their stuff is very competitive. It's very cost effective in terms of tractor pulling, I guess. But very durable. I have great reliability with their sleeve and pistons. Their fuel and air, it runs well. Most of the time the problems you see is me, not the equipment. So. Yep. And I know you're going to ask, if I wasn't light pro pulling, what would I want to pull? And I've already decided it would be a light limited super again, 25 years later.
Yep.
I went to a party with Josh Wacholtz this summer for a birthday. And after talking to him and he left, and I thought, that wouldn't be so bad either. Right.
Them guys have a lot of fun, good class. Yep.
And you see everything. You see a Deutz diesel. You see an Oliver alcohol. You see, an international diesel. You see 30-point tires. You see 24s. The setups, I think that's half of what that class is, to be real honest with you.
Yep. That's a good class of guys, and they're getting better numbers in them all the time. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I talked to a guy actually in Central Illinois. Today's Monday. Must have been Friday. And he's actually building a Ford with a diesel Cummins to run Badger's light limited class.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful tractor. He's already got the tractor part put together. It'll be a great addition.
Good. Nice. Yep. When we welcome everybody to come pull with us, as you know. We'll try to make it work. Everybody can come pull with us, and it's fun to do that. You don't want to be the club that says, don't come play in my sandbox. You said you want everybody in your sandbox.
Right. And Badger State as a group has been great welcoming. I've seen new people. Take Corey and Steph, for instance. They bought that tractor out of Ohio, and they showed up at Greene County. That would have been the end of 22, I'm guessing. And, it was like they were one of the good old boys for 10 or 12 or 15 years.
Yep.
Welcome. Always out.
Yep.
Right. Well, kind of looks like we went over our time a little bit, right, John? Or
we did, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching. It's great to come down and visit with you, and we've been trying to connect and get our schedules together. That was awesome. So
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've been kind of putting you off. I'm not really much for talking in public, but about 3 or 4 vodkas later, I'm starting to warm up to the idea.
yeah, it took like 4 Coors Banquets before we could sit down with you the other day too.
Well, those were the 4 you saw after you got there.
Oh, oh, well,
You know,
it worked out. It worked out.
I really appreciate you guys having me. Mike really enjoyed having you down, John, and Ryan. Thanks for everything you guys do. Greg, thanks for the show. I encourage everybody to get involved. Whether it be with the Monday night show, whether it be with the American Family Children's Hospital, your local pull, whatever the case is, just get involved, have some fun. Whether you're a puller, whether you're not a puller, come talk to us in the pits. We'd love to have it. I mean, it's
Everybody's welcome.
please.
Yep.
If you get a bunch of toys together, let me know. You're going to do that.
We are, and actually, Greg, I'm going to talk to you off this about that. I'd like to get them original guys involved. I don't want them guys to feel shut out. So let's bring them guys on board too, and we'll figure it out.
We'll get it all. We have Brian Forrest has given us toys too to give the children. I don't know if you know Brian at all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, he's given us some toys to donate to the Children's Hospital. At the banquet, and then we've got great support with everybody. It's so good, such a good thing.
I want to make sure we include them original guys. I know Bill and Tom, and I think Don was in on that if I remember right. And
Richie's was in on it too. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
We'll get everybody involved. I can get you whatever color everybody wants, and let's do it all as a great big group.
We do well, and then the kids. I've seen pictures. Lori showed us pictures of a kid with like 25 little tractors. That means he's been there a long time. All up on along his bed. It's pretty neat to see all that.
It is. It's too bad they got to be there, but at least we can make it a little easier for them while it's there.
As long as you can. We do put all this stuff. We do put smiles on their faces.
That's right.
Don't we're doing it. So it's a good thing.
You bet. Tractor pulling's easy. Life is hard.
It is.
Yes. So Matt, Greg will stick on here afterwards, but thank you again for sponsoring our show. You've been one of the first ones that jumped on and sponsor every year at Front Street Toys. So thank you. I'm glad we had you on. We want to thank Casper Egg, Slama Enterprises, Trip Downing, and also Wettencamp Transport for jumping on board with us as well now. And thank you, Ryan. Ryan, you do the best in the business of recording and putting this video and stuff together. So thanks. Thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.